in the car trip on the way to the airport with my mum, I was just sat there and I was like so nervous. My heart, just like that TikTok, is like going pitter patter, pitter patter. That feeling when the plane took off and I was like, oh my god, what have I done? I guess part of me just wants to know if I can do it. It seems like I'm just intrigued as to how I would cope. It feels like this is like a new season of my life with like a new plot and a new location and new people in it. And it's just like, oh, I wonder how this is going to turn out. Hey, welcome. If you're new here, my name is Izzy and I have just moved alone to a subtropical island. So I've moved to Madeira, which is an island, a Portuguese island, and it's not actually that close to Portugal. If you look on a map, it's like way out more towards like Africa kind of area. Been here a few days now and so far absolutely loving it. However, the journey of getting here on the first day, I don't think it could have gone more wrong. Like, we're talking serious character building. I just have such a story to tell. So just some quick context. I basically work remotely as a virtual assistant and it means that I can work from anywhere. So I thought, why not move abroad? And Madeira was open. I'm double vaccinated. I got my negative PCR test and I just thought, you know, what am I waiting for at this point? I'm gonna have to just start living my life. So I made the move. It's not like there was anyone to go with me, so I've had to come alone, which is fine. I'm relatively good at being alone, but there's actually a huge community of digital nomads here, so it already feels like I'm not so alone. So I've rented an apartment in Ponta do Sol for the first 4 weeks, and then I'm going to be moving a little bit further outside of town, about 15 minutes up the road, to Calheta for the rest of the time until about autumn. And because of this, I decided to rent a car. When I landed, I was gonna have to get a car, an Uber, a taxi or something to Funchal, pick up the car, then drive another 15 minutes to Ponta do Sol to the apartment. I was really nervous about going to pick up the car because every single time I looked up the address on Google Maps, it just sent me to the side of a cliff. And every time I tried to call up or email the car place, they just either didn't pick up or just completely dodged my questions. Like, they just wouldn't answer my question of like, how do I get to your office from the airport? They just weren't answering. But my dad was like, it's fine, like just get in a taxi, they'll know where it is, people probably pick up cars from there all the time. And I was like, okay, yeah, fair play. My phone wasn't working. Like, even though I'd activated roaming with EE, it just wasn't connecting to any of like the network or anything like that. And when I tried to call the place, I obviously just wasn't typing in the area code right of the office of the car rental place. So I was like, it's fine, I'll just get a taxi. So I lined up for a taxi with all of my luggage, quite a lot of luggage, and it's hot, okay? It's hot. I'm already getting a little bit sweaty and I'm already just really nervous about being in a foreign country on my own. And this relatively nice, taxi driver comes up and takes my stuff and he puts it in the car. He's like, so where do you want to go? And I show him the address because I had literally had every single document printed out, ready to go. And he reads it and he's like, I have no idea where this is, let me go check. And he goes and asks all of his taxi friends and they have no idea where it is either. So I'm like thinking, oh my god, this is gonna be way more difficult than I thought it was gonna be. Like, oh, I just knew that trip was going too well already. So we get in the car and he's like, can you get it up on your maps? And luckily I had downloaded offline maps anyway from Google Maps and I was like, oh, I've done something right. But then he was like, right, I need you to hold it up for me whilst I'm driving. Bear in mind, like, obviously I've got a mask on and I'm in like the back seat of his taxi. So I had my seatbelt on, but I had to like stretch it as far as it could go. And I was like leaning over the middle of the car and holding the phone for him so he could see where we were going. So we're on our way and I'm just like I'm like bouncing around in the car. I'm thinking, it's fine, this is just gonna be a funny story. Like, it's fine, I'm totally safe. And we get to where Google Maps takes us, and just like I already suspected, it took us to the side of a cliff. I'm talking just fully just like rocks. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do now. And as we were driving, I could tell that he was getting more and more frustrated. And he was getting more and more like a little bit aggy, and he kept saying to me like, how can you not know where you're going? And that made me feel really nervous because I didn't know what to say, because I kind of agreed. I was like, oh, I should have really tried harder to figure out where I was going rather than wasting this poor man's time. Anyway, he started to get quite rude and I started to feel just a little bit uncomfortable in the taxi. I started feeling my face getting quite warm, but like I held it together. And then he was just like, I'm just gonna drop you here. And I was like, what? And he was like, well, this is the address we agreed on. I'm just gonna drop you here. And by this point, I didn't have a lot of fight in me because I was so kind of like floored as to like the situation that I was just like, okay, fine. He charges me like 50 euros. I guess we'd been going around for quite a while. And he just drops me at the side of the road with all my luggage. Bear in mind my phone isn't working and I have no idea where I am. And it's my first day alone. Distress would be an understatement. It's really hot and I've got all my luggage and I'm just thinking, oh my god, what do I do? So in my head I'm like, it's fine, calm down. And at this point I was staying relatively calm. I almost felt a little bit numb because I was so tired. I'd gotten up at like 3 AM that morning. So I started wandering and I was like, I'm just gonna find a cafe that's got Wi-Fi and then I'll use that Wi-Fi to like call or email the car company and find it out that way. But the hills in Madeira are really, really steep. And obviously I've got like a case on wheels, I had a holdall and I had a backpack, and as I was going down these hills my suitcase was like going ahead of me and like, I don't know, just running away with me. But luckily I came across the cafe relatively quickly and I went in and it was quiet, thank god. And there was this really nice woman behind the counter and I didn't say to her at first what happened, but when I saw her face, because I knew immediately, I was trying to remember how to order a coffee in Portuguese because I'd spent weeks trying to memorize these phrases. Don't know what I must have looked like coming through the door, the sweaty mess, all this luggage, basically tearful, trying to order a coffee. She was like, yeah, of course, like, and she was like, what's happened? And I was like, I'm lost and my taxi driver, like, he abandoned me at the side of the road and I don't know what to do and my phone's not working. And oh my god, she was amazing. She sat me down, gave me a coffee, and she went and got her phone from the office and she tried helping me to call someone. And you know, at this point, unfortunately, the car rental place essentially were on a lunch break, so they weren't answering. And you know, when you can just feel your face getting more and more warm, I was getting more and more upset at the situation, but also just embarrassed. Not even that I was crying in front of a stranger, but I also felt really disappointed in myself because this was meant to be me proving myself to myself, this big challenge of me doing it on my own and going out on my own. And you know, I'd been in the country for all of like, what, 20-25 minutes and I was already in tears, sat in a cafe, having like just not been able to get to my destination and no real idea of what to do. And so I felt so just disappointed in myself for even getting upset over what, just a rental car, you know, like I was gonna figure it out. She disappeared and I was just like, oh, I guess she's given up. But she came back and just like, suddenly she brought loads of her friends. I think they were her friends, I really don't know, but basically I was crying 1 second and then the next second I was surrounded by these 4 Portuguese women who were all speaking Portuguese like over me in a nice way, trying to discuss basically like, what do we do with this crying tourist? One of them asked me, she was like, have you not got any family here? And I was like, no, I'm here all alone, I don't know anyone and I can't like get my phone to work. She came back and she had like brought her son with her and she was like, this is my son, he's a translator. And I was like, oh, the luck, finally, a little bit of a silver lining, some luck. And he literally was my saviour, like actually rescued me. Talk about just like happening upon the right cafe and all of that. And he had literally last month finished his degree in translation and his English was immaculate, which made me feel almost upset because I was just like, I'm so sorry that I don't know more of your language, if you know what I mean. But he literally sat with me for like, I don't know, an hour helping me figure this out, and he helped me like download the proper app onto my phone. We like managed to get my phone working. He was a very calming person. He calmed me down and like within like 10 minutes we were just like laughing about the situation, and he was just so kind and understanding and patient with me. But when we finally sorted it out and I was gonna get in a car to go to the car rental place, he was like, oh, like, do you want me to come with you to help you get the car? And I was like, I mean, if you have the time, please do. So he literally, this translator guy, came with me in the car all the way to the car rental place, helped me get the car, which in itself was just so nice because I was nervous about that as it was. Journey aside, actually picking up a rental car on my own felt a little bit nerve-wracking because I've never done something like that before. Talk about luck, like obviously awful luck but also good luck as well. The fact that I picked that particular cafe to go into and he happened to be in the area at that particular time. And we've stayed in contact. He's been giving me lots of advice and lots of tips, and he's invited me to go back to Funchal next week. He's basically invited me to like meet up with some of his friends so that I can meet some people who live in the area, which is just so exciting because like I figured I would meet some like other digital nomads, but I didn't think that I would kind of be able to hang out with some locals who were literally my age. I mean, after all of that, I then had to drive this car here, which just in itself, I was like in the car and I was like gripping the wheel like this because I was on the wrong side. In my head, I was on the wrong side of the road, and I just couldn't judge the distance next to the car, like on the left-hand turn. Like I was okay at driving on the right-hand side, but it was just going around corners. I couldn't judge how close to the side I was. And like the roads here are very narrow and they're very, very windy. And there's also just a lot of sheer drops. Like if you crash here, no, you're not just gonna get a little bit maimed. No, it's like fully you're plunging off a cliff into the depths of the sea. So did I mention I got an upgrade with my car? Which is like, you'd think that'd be great, and it's kind of nice. Except I purposefully rented like the smallest car they had that was an automatic, and maybe they gave away the car that I'd originally booked because I was late, but they upgraded me for free to a BMW. Which in my head I'm like, oh no, don't raise the stakes, you know. I've been here a few days now, and so far I still feel a little bit on edge because it feels like I'm doing everything obviously for the first time. The village that I'm staying in, Ponta do Sol, is essentially, it's like supposedly one of the sunniest villages on Madeira. For some reason it's just like a sun-catching area, and basically there's like this whole digital nomad community here, and I was really worried that I was just gonna not meet people and that I was gonna get lonely, but I went down to the co-working space and literally within 5 minutes someone was like, let's grab coffee, and there's like a group chat, and someone posted in there like, oh, does anyone want to go to the supermarket? And I was like, I'll go. Like basically buying friendship with car rides. I was like, I can take us in by car sort of thing. So I met this really lovely girl called Marie. It's a really, really nice village as well. It's got a really nice cove with like a beach cafe, and you kind of like park at the front, like in this tunnel next to the beach, and then you walk up this like relatively steep hill, and it's got all of these street cafes on the cobblestone roads, and like there's like umbrellas everywhere, just really chilled out and nice. And then the co-working space is really like open plan, lots of glass windows, you can see the sea, it's just really beautiful. I didn't stay for long yesterday, and today I actually worked from the apartment just because I had so much work to catch up on. But yeah, tomorrow I'm going to go back to the co-working space, and I've been invited to go out tomorrow night with some of the other digital nomads, which is exciting. And then at the weekend I really want to go on an adventure and explore some more. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, this is going to be some interesting character building, to put it lightly. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, please do. I'd absolutely love to hang out again. Can't wait to share more of this with all of you, the highs and lows included. I'm gonna try and take you on lots of adventures. I'm gonna try and be uploading once a week again like I was, maybe even more. And for now, have a great day. Bye.